wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Great.
I had the most epic weekend probably I had an epic week. I had an overtime, a buzzer beater from Sabrina, game 3, New York Liberty at Minnesota Lynx, buzzer beater, logo 3, all the ups and downs, craziness that goes along with that on a Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Thursday, I flew to Austin, Texas, and did what they call a hot lap, where I got to get in a McLaren. So if you're car people at all, a McLaren is one of the best cars on the planet. Yeah. And I got up to 166 miles per hour.
Wow. Awesome
experience. Quavo and I had a bet on who could go faster. Quavo won the bet, and I'm scared to see what I'm going to have to pay him. It was just a cool experience. I was not that familiar with F1. Obviously, I've watched a couple of episodes of the documentary about that sport.
Yeah.
It was wild. I got to see Lewis Hamilton in person. He is someone really cool. I've admired him for a long time. And it was just a really cool experience. Then flew back to Minnesota, did game 4 in Minnesota on Friday night. The Minnesota Lynx force a deciding game 5. Saturday morning, I fly to Austin again, do Georgia, Texas. I wouldn't say it was an epic game because Georgia just dominated. I felt disappointed with how Texas played. But the atmosphere was epic, like absolutely incredible. Anyone was on the sidelines of this game. At one point, the play comes to us and we kind of have to run out of the way so we don't get hit by the play. And I'm standing next to Matthew McConaughey and Kevin Durant. And I'm like, Kevin, me and Matthew McConaughey are going to protect you right now. And Kevin's like, it's cool. I still have my lateral quickness. Don't worry about it. So it was just fun, like just a really cool experience. Had a lot of, celebrities down on the sideline. And then Sunday morning, that was Saturday night, Sunday morning, flew right back to New York for game 5, epic game 5, the WNBA Finals. Went into overtime again. New York Liberty win their first championship in franchise history. So that might have been one of the craziest weeks of my entire working life. Yeah. And it was awesome. It all went well. Thank you to the travel people of the world, Delta mostly, who helped me get everywhere. It was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's so much stuff I thought the F1 thing was like last week.
No, that all happened within 5 days.
You had a crazy 5 days.
I've had a crazy 5 days. You have become a full-blown New York Liberty WNBA fan, which I'm so proud of that you love something that your mom loves, the WNBA.
Yeah.
I want to talk about you being in the crowd to see the New York Liberty win their first WNBA championship in league history, and just what that was like for you to be a fan and to be there in such a stressful overtime game.
It was so much fun. It was amazing. I cried a lot.
Did you cry?
Yeah.
You wept at the WNBA championship.
We're good friends with Stewie, and I was sitting with Stewie's dad and grandparents, and so it was very, and her wife and her kids. So it was very, very emotional. We cried. My girlfriend was there. She cried a little bit too. It was so exciting. It was exhilarating basketball, first off, and it was a close game, and they had the overtime and everything. And then for Brita, she missed the shot in game, was that 1? And then
yes, she lost a game by not making a free throw.
And so then to have her come back and essentially like put the nail in the coffin, win the game. And then Phoebik she played amazing. Sabali played amazing. Like it was John Quell, obviously. Like you don't even have to talk about that. She was amazing. They were so good, and it was so much fun. It was it's a fun crowd, and I'm kind of like sad that now I got to wait till when is their season start again?
May. Next
May to go back to another game. So it was bittersweet because I was like so excited, but I was like, oh crap, now I got to like wait to go into any more games. So it was so much fun though.
It was one of the best series we've seen in a long time. I will say this, I still will put the 2016-2017 Lynx versus Sparks series. I still think that's the best WNBA finals we've ever had from a standpoint of the basketball was so good because it was, I think, 5 or 6 Hall of Famers playing in that game. Yeah. Candace Parker, Maya Moore, Simone Augustus, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson, Sylvia Fowles, Chelsea Gray, Neko Ogwumike. I think it was the most talent we've ever seen maybe in a final. So I'm still going to put 2016, 2017. That is still my Taj Mahal for the best finals I've ever seen. But this one is right up there. I want to shout out the Minnesota Lynx. I mean, Nafisa called. What?
Your Taj Mahal?
Do you know what the Taj Mahal is?
Yeah, I don't understand how that makes sense in this conversation. That is your Taj Mahal. It's just a nice place. That doesn't make sense.
Well, the Taj Mahal used to be like it was like the most expensive something ever built.
Not...
So it was considered to be the best elite of elite. And so it became like a trendy saying in my generation of like,
that is my
it's no Taj Mahal, but it's whatever.
But that doesn't... Wait.
Makes sense.
No. That doesn't make sense.
It's like the Mount Rushmore.
It's the Mount Rushmore makes sense. But
what would be a better one?
It's Mount Rushmore makes more sense.
Okay, sorry.
Taj Mahal.
Sorry. The Taj Mahal used to be a popular saying for when you're describing something that's the very best or the most elite.
I feel like it was only if it was like a nice place. Like it's a nice, if you're in a nice place, you're like, oh my gosh, this place is like
Taj Mahal of final series.
Or an event is not a Taj Mahal.
Okay, agree to disagree.
I don't think
you might be right on this one, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. Let me trace back to what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted.
Rudely interrupted.
I want to give the Minnesota Lynx a lot of credit because that team was such a great team. They might not have been the most individually talented players. Like if you went down the roster, maybe there's people you would pick over them. But the way they played together was so beautiful. And Nafisa Collier, like I love her. She is phenomenal and never gets tired, just continues to shine, and just lots and lots of respect and appreciation for the Lynx. Yeah. I do feel a little depressed, a little sad, like W's over for this year. And it was maybe the most successful season in history with all the viewership. I think we had 31 games this season get more than 1 million viewers on television, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
So I just think it was a really special season. A lot of hallmarks hit. Obviously, Caitlin was exciting, but so were a lot of other people and players and teams. And it's just going to be hard to go now all these months until we get to see it again. Now, how are you going to fill your sports watching fantasies?
Oh, I'm not. I don't care.
This is the one sport you're be a fan of.
I've done my time of the thing I enjoy, and I'll watch the Super Bowl.
I do think there's some things we share that we're both super passionate about. Sports is just not one of them. So that's why it's been kind of fun for me for you to get so into the WNBA, because it's a little slice of my sports obsession, because I am one of those people that you're talking about. That I'm obsessed with every little thing about sports, like to the point of obsession. And you're not, and that's okay. But I do like it when we can share a little bit of something. But I'm curious for other parents out there, when like you'll see these families that are like, oh, we're an outdoors family. We go camping, we go skiing. Like and what if you're not? Like, what if the parents and the children have different interests? How do you navigate different passions within a family?
Yeah.
I do think the one we share is probably theater, Broadway,
movies.
Entertainment. We are both very passionate about those. I remember taking you for your spring break since you were about 6 or 7 years old. You went to your first Broadway play in New York City.
Yeah.
And for years, every spring break, I would take you to Broadway.
Yeah.
How many Broadway shows do you think you've seen in your lifetime?
A lot. I can tell you a lot. Definitely more than 10.
I was going to say like maybe 30.
But I don't know if I'd say 30.
I remember one spring break, we saw 6 shows in one trip.
I don't know about 6 either. What?
Remember, it was the disappointing Ben Stiller one. I spent a lot of money.
We saw House of Blue Leaves.
Wasn't good.
How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
With Daniel Radcliffe, phenomenal.
And the basketball one, and Daniel Radcliffe. And then the basketball one, where like they were an old basketball team getting together for their coach's retirement. We only saw 3.
Oh, I thought we saw 2 others that
And
trip. What was the one with Paul?
This is a lesson in the Paul Rudd one was a different trip. This is a
Oh,
lesson
okay.
in your parents will exaggerate your memories. Especially if it's a good one. If you give positive feedback to the memory will grow larger.
Well, you just wait. I save all the playbills. You just wait till I pull up the playbills
Maybe
and
you
show that
saw it
you're
without
wrong.
me.
My passions have something in common between sports and theater. Of
Mhm.
in-person performance, there is nothing like
It's
it.
the best. Yeah.
There is nothing like it. And watching people be so great at their craft and their skill, I think is my favorite thing. I remember going to our first Broadway show after COVID.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the audience and weeping, like, oh my gosh, I've missed this so much.
What one was that? I don't know if I remember.
I think it was Mean Girls.
No, that was way before COVID.
Was that before COVID?
Mean Girls, I left halfway through because I think I had work.
You did.
And I also remember it being like
We didn't love Mean Girls.
I liked the movie a lot, but it was the way they did the set they had like screens, and then the screens were constantly changing. And I remember the number before they go into the intermission is like this crazy, like the sets are changing because like if there's like the rumors being spread about something, and I just remember being like overloaded, and I was like, you know what, I definitely have to go to work. Like I'm not gonna be late.
I will not be coming back from intermission.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't like to I like to see everybody's work, and I don't like to ever leave early. But yeah, I was like overloaded, and then I had to leave, and I was just like, you know what, I gotta go.
How do parents navigate it when they are really passionate about things that their kids could care less about? And how do kids navigate it when their parents are super passionate about stuff and you're like, I don't care?
I mean, a big thing is just invite them to care as well. Don't make them care about it.
Don't force it.
Yeah. Like I think like a reason, because like with sports, not necessarily you forced me, but you definitely were like, we're going to a game. Like sports are just very much a part of like something that was out of my control. And
most of the time I had to just drag you along because I didn't have a babysitter and I was going to work. Part of that was like surviving as a young mother of like, I'm sorry, but you've got to come with me because I've got to go to work.
Yeah. And so then and then it also kind of made it so like, instead of it being like this cool, fun thing that like, oh, I'm going to a thing, it was like you're being dragged to something without any information. And then like just being like, okay, go sit in that room. And like, it doesn't necessarily breed like, ooh, I love this. I do love being on a football field. And I did play football for a while. Like I do love football in that way. And I do love like when you're with players after we were there when they, at this last national championship, the Rose Bowl. And that was like being on the field, like, cause you rushed out and I was with you. And like we were with the players when they had won, and like that moment is amazing. And it's always amazing to see people who like have committed so much to something like succeed. That's always very inspiring. Same thing with like the WNBA game. Like it's just inspiring to be with people who have like worked so hard for something and have like achieved it. You know, like I know a lot is learned from loss, but like a lot is learned from like seeing how happy somebody is when they like succeed. You know, that does really hit. But other than that, like, I was always kind of dragged around. So I think I was never invited to just like enjoy the sport, like enjoy sports with you. Like it was work, and it felt like work, and it seemed like work to be there.
Right. So, and it could have been stressful too, because I'd be like, we gotta get, we gotta
like,
go here.
You
I have a photo of you.
No information.
Yeah, I have a photo of you. I remember working a BYU basketball game, and you were like 6 months old, and you're maybe not even that old. Like you're an infant, like tiny little infant. And our stage manager, Alana Tilley, shout out Alana, you were such a sweet friend to me early in McKylan's life. And she was stage managing, like running the commercials, and she had you in her arms while I was calling the game. Like you have been dragged to many sporting events.
Yeah. And I mean, it's lucky. I won't say it's not lucky, but it's definitely like, it doesn't make you be like, you know what? I love this.
Yeah. I have had some friends that their families are outdoors people. And so like, if they're going to go out on a family vacation, they are going on an REI trek across Croatia with bikes and tents. And it's like all really rugged, outdoorsy stuff like that. I'm not that kind of vacationer. So we've never, so I think
I've done that. I've done that with your sister and her husband.
We've gone camping, but there's some people that's just the style of their family. Well, our family does this. Our family, we go skiing every year for Christmas, or our family goes to the beach every year, whatever. There are beach families. There are so many beach families.
Yeah.
So it's interesting of how your family dynamic trickles down through the generations,
Yeah.
and how kids navigate it if that's not their jam.
I would take I mean, I feel like a lot of kids now it's not their jam, but like your younger sisters definitely took me on a lot of camping, and your older sister, but like our family, extended family, has taken me on a ton of camping and a ton of boating, and like I do really like camping and boating and all that stuff. I did learn recently, I think it was over the summer, it might have been last summer, that I never learned how to ride a motorbike or a four-wheeler.
Oh, yeah, well, there's a reason for that. Because when I was a teenager, one of our neighbors' children died in a four-wheeler accident, ATV accident.
Yeah.
And then one of my good friends in high school had a horrific motorcycle accident. He went through the glass windshield of a car and had a significant brain injury, and he was never the same person again. And I had a lot of fear about you doing those things, so I never allowed it.
I understand that, but one thing I did realize in the moment when I was on the motorbike was that when you're afraid of something, you should learn how to do it well, so that way you can like conquer it. Because instead of knowing how to do it, I was in a much more dangerous situation of like, oh, well, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, well, I've like ridden tons of bikes. And so I'm on a motorcycle on a street in Bountiful going 60 miles per hour on accident.
On accident.
You know, very dangerous. And it's like, if I had learned how to do the thing that was scary, it's no longer scary. You know?
I definitely think you're right about that. I feel like,
because I've been on motorcycles.
Parents, I am one of those parents. I had a lot of fear of, oh my gosh, what if anything happens to him? So maybe I've taught you to be fearful about things, which maybe isn't great, but I do think competency erases fear, right? So like if you are good at something, then you're not fearful. I do remember forcing you to do stuff when you were a kid, though. Yeah, remember the great water slide story?
You love this story. I was a child who was afraid to go down a thing, and you shamed me for it. Well, 20 years passed. Instead of being like, no, everything will be okay, you're like, go do it. Go. Get on the slide. Stop being a baby.
You're going to love it. I did not say you're a baby. I never said I did not yell at you like that. I just said, honey, I promise you're going to love this. I promise. You are going to love this.
Safe. Everybody else, like other people have done it. Watch, they're doing it. You're going to be fine.
Right.
You're going to love
it. You will love this.
Well, no, I mean, I'm giving you but if you want to tell the story, you can tell the story.
No. I just, teaching kids how to overcome fear is an important thing. I think that's something parents have to do, because everything kids try, they're trying it for the first time. And so how do parents teach? That is a big responsibility of ours, is teaching, right? I do remember teaching you how to do the monkey bars and do the jungle gym, all those things, and like the playground equipment.
I don't remember that at all, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I would get on and show you like how to do it. Yeah.
When you don't teach somebody how to do it, though, we still find ways to do it. You know, I think that's another thing. Like it's like with everything. Like how, like, I mean, this is kind of different. And we didn't have any like serious things with this, but like with like sex ed or anything, like if you don't tell your kids anything about it, they're going to go try stuff out. And then, you know, there's more problems that arise from that, as opposed to like having a healthy conversation about it. You know, like if you teach somebody when you learn something, it's a lot better than, you know, don't go.
Just go figure it out.
Yeah. Like the amount of times you'd be like, don't go do this. And you leave the house and I'd be like, well, I'm going to go figure out what that is.
So I grew up with parents who told me nothing. I knew nothing about sex education, nothing like that. Very, very naive, I would say, which caused me problems later in life. So when you were growing up, I went overboard the other way. So you got talked to a lot about that. I
did.
Don't cancel us if we talk about this. I provided condoms for you and put them in your bedroom in high school. Like, hey, I don't know what you're going to do. I just want you to be prepared that if you are going to do something, here's how you can be safe and do it. Like,
I'm
so
not
I
sure.
went the other way as a parent because I felt so kind of victimized as a kid of like, my parents didn't help me navigate this stuff. So I wanted you to be more prepared than I was.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah.
No comment.
Sure.
No comment whatsoever.
I'll give you a big strong sure on that one.
Extra sure.
Not sure about the validity of some of that, but yeah.
Oh, stop it.
You've always been a very informative parent, and I luckily, like, I do think kids, like, I was listening to Keegan Michael Key on Dax Shepard's podcast, which I'm like obsessed with, because Dax Shepard reminds me of myself a little bit, but obviously massively successful. But
I want you to just rewind what you said right there for 1 second.
What?
This is a massively awesome thing, and I love it so much because it reminds me of myself. I love that you're so confident.
Where do you think I learned it from? You told me you love people because they remind you of you.
Oprah. I'm like, I love Oprah so much. One, because she's amazing, but also because I remind myself of Oprah.
Well, no, he talks in depth about his feelings about some stuff, and I'm like,
right.
I've definitely been in. I've had
this situation.
I've been in like he talked like fighting in school and stuff. I was in like a decent amount of fights in school, like just weird the machismo that you kind of build, like stuff like that. I definitely.
Yeah.
But anyways, and then Keegan Michael Key, another person that I love because I am very similar to them. Bang it.
I love him so much because he reminds me of myself.
Well, yeah. So, a guy who's doing exactly what I want to do. Him and Jordan Peele are doing exactly what I want to do, and they're doing it successfully, and they're great. And they have similar upbringings of being, a brown parent raised by a single white mother, or child raised by a single white parent. Like that's a very specific niche, and it creates a very specific sense of humor. And it teaches you a lot. But the whole point of that was to get to, like, I was listening to this podcast with them, and they were talking about how the TV was a big window into the world. So I learned a lot from TV, like a lot. Like I would say, like my language skills and like personal skills and stuff. A lot of that, oddly enough, was from sitting alone watching TV and watching other people do a thing, because then you can kind of recreate it. Which, like, I know the whole like representation TV kind of gets a little out of hand. Like, it's like, okay, yes, everybody needs to be represented, but like we need to be doing something with it, not just representing. In some ways, I feel that way. But that was my point. But like when you watch somebody like you do a thing, it shows you, oh, I can do. Okay, I've seen that be done. I'm going to go out into the real world and I'm going to try it. So like. Stuff with like sex ed and stuff, like you watch enough information on TV and you're like, okay, so it's important. They're not really showing us what they're doing, but I can get some context clues to kind of be like, okay, so that's the first step. No, you talk to this person, blah, 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 and it leads.
Can I tell you one funny story from your childhood that I remember? It's a little inappropriate, but I think you'll get a laugh out of it. So you loved this girl named Kiana. Do you remember Kiana?
Oh boy, yeah.
You loved Kiana. I think she was your first kiss. And
no, she was not. No.
Oh, she was not? Who was?
I don't know if I can say this, but can we say people's name? Whitney. It was like when we were like 6.
Oh, yes. I remember taking you up to roast marshmallows and do like a little campground and go on a fall autumn hike with your girlfriend, Kiana. And you guys were young, like maybe 13 or 14. Like, how young were you?
We got holes in this story from the bottom. This boat's sinking immediately.
She wasn't your girlfriend, but it was a friend that you were inviting to go do stuff with you.
Let's hear the whole story.
Well, anyway, you guys are sitting on the bench. I'm kind of like roasting marshmallows, and I see you kiss her out of like kind of the corner of my eye. So I try to give you guys some privacy.
None of that happened. Continue.
And that 100% happened. I could take you to the spot that it happened. 100% happened. So anyway, later that night, I'm like, okay, so we need to have a little bit of a conversation. And I was like, honey, we need to talk about how to be respectful of girls and whatever. And you said, yeah. I know, Mom. Don't touch her up in here. And you put your hands like this. And I was like, okay, I feel like my work here is done. I feel like I've taught him a little something.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but that story is almost 80% fictional.
No, it's not, Michaela.
It is completely never kissed.
One thing I have to teach you is that parents are older when these memories are happening. And so we're forming a better, more solid memory.
You're making shit up. That's not what happened. We went on, first off, she never came to one of those. Second,
she did, Michaela, 100%.
No, she did. She did not.
I can prove this.
I go ahead and ask her. I guarantee we did do those when I was in middle school. She did not come to one of those. The one time that we hung out was I asked her to go see a movie for my birthday because I was having a birthday party where we went and saw Pirates of the Caribbean. She came. I didn't say a word to her the entire time when we saw Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Low-key banger, great movie. I didn't say a word to her. I did sit next to her, didn't say a single word to her the entire time. And then we went back to my house to like hang out, and we had a trampoline, and we were like, oh, we're gonna all hang out in the backyard if you want to hang out. Her and her friend chatted for a little bit, and then her mom drove up and picked her up, and they left. I know for a fact. You say like you remember it so much better because you were older. Also, I have less memories to sift through. I am much more emotionally connected to those memories, so they're much clearer.
Well, you're wrong about this because I know exactly what happened. So I'm ready for my chaos theory. Are you?
Well, I don't know how I've made you mad from your fake memories.
Well, good, because it'll flow right into one of my topics today.
Well, it's chaos theory, so maybe we won't even pull that topic.
Okay.
I'm still using the hat. Ooh.
Can we do my topic first?
Is it making things up?
If you were here right now, I would tickle you. Okay. So here's the topic.
Making fun of your mother. Yeah.
Making fun of your mother. So I was with you and your girlfriend this week.
Yeah.
And there was a moment that happened where we're kind of trying to like organize something or figure something out. And my back is turned and I look over there and you're giving your girlfriend a face of annoyance directed towards me. Kind of a face of like, oh my gosh, my mother is so annoying. And I caught it. I'm just trying to, air it out. Like, can you make fun of your parents? Of course you can. I just don't think you should do it when they can see you.
I didn't do it when you could see it. Like that. I was not making fun of you.
I felt triggered. That's what your generation would say. I felt triggered.
I wasn't making fun of you. We can check in with the girlfriend, but I don't remember such a moment where I was like, look at her. All right. I wrote this fast, but what is a bad idea that you have had recently? I won't show you the writing because it's terrible because I wrote it really fast. But what's something like a
bad idea I've had recently? Huh. I feel like I have several a day, probably.
Okay.
I'm at a loss. I don't know.
You haven't had any bad.
I know exactly what it is. So I was on a long extended road trip. I think I went home one time to Florida to check on our house after the hurricane in 3 weeks and 1 day. So I went home 2 days in a 6-week period.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was running out of clothes and running out of stuff and trying to figure out how to do laundry. And I made a bad decision to buy some clothes. And then I couldn't carry all the stuff around. And I was just lugging stuff through the airport on my way home. And I looked like a person who's made a lot of bad decisions on purchasing too many clothes. I did run out of clothes. I had to wear my same outfit from the Georgia-Texas football game Saturday night. I wore the exact same outfit for the WNBA championship game 5 Sunday night. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to say it didn't smell great because it was a little sweaty at Georgia, Texas. But I was literally out of clothes.
Also, that was a bad decision I made. Georgia blew Texas out. That was wild.
Yeah. Could you believe that game?
That was insane. I only saw like 10 minutes over the course of the whole thing, but I was just like, holy Hannah. They're just kicking their butts. Rough. It was rough. Rough.
Yeah, so that's my bad decision. How about you? What's a bad decision you've made recently?
I have learned that my ability for scheduling and then doing it has been bad. So like so Sunday was the game. We obviously, had a good time that night after. And then Monday I was like, okay, well, Monday's kind of like my Saturday. So I was kind of like, oh, I can relax, do nothing, whatever. And then Tuesday we were gonna go to like a hike. We are gonna go on this big long hike. And I don't know what I was thinking, but at 10 p.m. the night before we're supposed to go on this hike, I decided to show Tiffany all of the Jordan Peele movies.
So you were up till what time in the morning?
I think we finished the movie Us, which is great. If anything, somebody send this to Jordan Peele and just let him know how much I love all of his work, and I will literally do anything he needs. But it was, I think, about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
So not a great
And
idea to start a marathon right before.
Yeah, and it's only 2 movies, so I was like, oh, it's not going to be that long, but that is 4 hours. And then, so we finally get to bed, and then my great idea was, well, I'm going to set an alarm for 10, and I'm going to set an alarm for 10:30, and then I'll be perfect, and then we can go on this hike. My alarms for 10 and 10:30, the alarm for 10 went off, and I somehow snoozed it while I was still asleep. And then the one for 10:30 was set for 10:30 p.m. So it never went off. And so we woke up, I think she woke up around 11-ish, and I woke up at noon.
So the hike didn't happen.
We did not go on the hike. Yeah. So, it was disappointing to say the least. Ooh,
Gotcha.
Another bad idea, all you can eat sushi. That'll get you.
Sushi can sometimes be a bad idea.
Well, all you can eat sushi.
Oh no, yeah. You never want to do that.
Like 7 sushi rolls yesterday, and let me tell you.
Not going well.
Tommy's mad.
Okay, my last thing for today, after I yell at you for not remembering the same things I do, is going to be, I saw this cute thing online that I wanted to share with you by Maria V. Paul. And it says, we talked about this a little bit last time, parents in the 90s, my kids are fed, have a roof above their heads, I'm a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
Versus parents in 2024, I need me time, there has to be a bedtime routine, gentle parenting, childhood traumas, non-toxic materials, how to make slime, signing up for parenting classes, organic and nutritious food, do they eat enough veggies? I feel like we always worried about that. Did I connect with them enough today? Did they drink enough water? Did I overwhelm them? Are they eating any processed food? Oh dear, I lost my patience again. Screen time. Did I give them vitamins? Have they touched any artificial dyes? I thought that was just an interesting kind of conversation. We talked a little bit about this last week of there's a lot of stuff parents have to worry about these days.
To be fair, you had to worry about those things then as well.
We just didn't.
We just did.
I don't think we knew we were supposed to be worrying about some of those things.
Which is, that's fair. That's definitely fair. But
I did worry about artificial dyes. I would try not to let you have any red dye. I replaced all of our plastic in our house one time with glass because I've read about plastics. And I think I was way ahead of the curve on that because now microplastics are a big topic. Veggies I tried to worry about. Sometimes that didn't go great because you didn't like veggies. I don't know that you still like veggies. That's a no. We did worry about screen time to some extent. Like I definitely let you watch too much television. But it's because when I was a kid, my parents would only let us watch 30 minutes of television a couple of days a week. And when I look back on that, I think it was really good for me because I grew up as a reader. I am a voracious, to this day, reader. And I think my parents did a great job not letting us watch too much TV.
Smart.
But I erred on the side of then being more permissive with you and letting you watch way too much TV.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, not wrong. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
I feel like I lost you there.
I zoned out for a second. Yes.
And by that, I mean, you can't pay attention now is why I say that. So maybe that's a great example of not being able to pay attention.
Hey, when you're right, you're right. You know what? I'm going to put to the audience. How about you guys start commenting? Just like, comment, subscribe, follow our channel, do all that stuff. And then just everything we post, just give us some chaos theory ideas, you know? And we'll pick
some topics,
you know, because we're just two people doing stuff, being busy.
Okay.
We don't have all the time to just sit and come up with topics.
After we get done with this podcast, I'm going to lay down on the couch and maybe not ever get up again. So, Mama's tired. Mama's tired.
But Mama deserves a nap.
And on that, that's a mic drop moment from your mother. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mom.
I love you, honey.
I love you too. Bye.